Hello YouTube, this is a follow-up for my last political video about my thoughts on switching to Tom Steyer and then being embarrassed less than 24 hours later. I know some of y'all thought I probably ran away being like, now Juan, you said you was going to report it in a few days and you done disappeared, you was trying to for the story. That's not what happened. Y'all know with this new job I've been working a full-time schedule all throughout the week. Fortunately, I am now off from Tuesday all the way up until Friday due to spring break. So, thanks to the school schedule, I am able to finally come here. Which, ironically, I did say the video would be on a Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm recording it on Monday, so it'd be available to y'all on Tuesday. Just wasn't a Tuesday that y'all was expecting. But anyways, like I said, I went to the polls on Saturday morning, and among my local, congressmen, House of Representatives, Senate, superintendent of schools, district court judges, and all of that. And if y'all was looking at the last one, honey, Elmer Floyd done got the boot. I told y'all we wasn't playing. I told y'all when it comes to reparations, we ain't just looking at the president's email, because it's the Senate and the House that got to make these decisions as well. So Mr. Elmer Floyd done learned the hard way on Saturday. I seen that he's now getting the darn gone boot, honey. So, anyways, what is a sad clap though? Oh, how come every time I do my video, I always get a darn gone bank notification? It's like, god damn, why don't y'all wait until after I'm done with my darn gone videos? Okay, let me stop. It irritates me because not only it pops up on my phone, but it pops up on my laptop at the same time, and y'all hear the noise. But like I said, at first I was voting for Marion Williamson. She dropped out. Then I went to Andrew Yang. He dropped out. Then I said, okay, who's left? Tom Steyer. And I wasn't even looking at Tom Steyer. Tom Steyer wasn't even on my radar. But it wasn't even just the black issues. It was just like, I thought he was just a one-trick pony on just environmental, which is very important. But it's like, okay, I'd rather just put you in the cabinet for the environmental position as opposed to being the president, because you got to be well-rounded. That's until I had a time to check out his platform and see that, he addressed black issues specifically. And we get into that in a moment. He addressed environmental justice. He went in detail about LGBTQ equality, criminal justice reform, and several other things that just wowed me. So looking at his diversity of platforms, I was like, okay, I can really get behind Tom Steyer. And once again, I did this for everybody. I looked at Joe Biden. I looked at Bernie Sanders. I looked at Elizabeth Warren, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, why is you still in the race at this point, like, girl? Now, I was for you for a moment, but it's like, to my Tulsi fans, I think it's about time for Tulsi to call it a wrap. Now, yeah, I told y'all what it could have been for Tulsi to being more popular than what she is. Like, I don't understand why some of these candidates didn't darn go join forces. I don't understand. Like, I definitely seen Tulsi Gabbard in the high cabinet position. It's something about Tulsi where I just didn't quite see her as president. And it's beyond just the black issue. It was just a little something that was off with Tulsi. Like, she was real favorable for me at one point. She was my fourth choice, but she just disappeared. Like, I couldn't find her in interviews or nothing, but she's still running for president. I don't understand. It's like, where is you at? I haven't heard from you or anything. And I ain't even talking about the debate stage. I'm talking about in general. I have not heard anywhere of darn Tulsi Gabbard, but she's still on the ticket. After only getting 1% of the vote, 2 delegates, and that was American Samoan. But I haven't seen her at no town hall rallies for white America, black America, Hispanic, like nobody. But she's still in there. I think that, if she would have teamed up behind Marion Williamson or, Andrew Yang, or, here would have been the dream team. Tom Steyer and darn Marion Williamson should have joined forces. Like, and Marion Williamson had the vision of Tom Steyer in a way, but she had more of the propel, she had more of the momentum, the crowd attention and stuff. So it's like, since y'all are ideologically very similar and you have the bankroll, why couldn't you darn gone, and I don't give a damn about Bernie Sanders talking about, oh, these darn gone billionaires. Honey, not all billionaires are corrupt, and Tom Steyer is a good example of that. So we could have made an exception if Tom Steyer wanted to darn gone throw some tens of millions of dollars towards Marion Williamson campaign versus himself. See, you got to think smarter, not harder. I feel that if he would have pulled back early on and just got behind Marion Williamson, and hell, that could have been your VP right there. But you talking about, oh, you want the darn gone senator, you want the brown nose up to darn gone Bernie. It's like, really? Yeah, and you could still put Bernie in the cabinet somewhere. Now me preferably, I would rather have Elizabeth Warren as Secretary of State. But if you wanted to put Bernie in the Secretary of State position, go on ahead. You can go ahead and put him in the Secretary of State. And Elizabeth, we can put her, Bernie, Secretary of State, and Elizabeth Warren, Department of Treasury. There you go. There's your influence right there, since you want to have some progressive, cabinet members. But I don't know why she was so fixated on that she had to have somebody with experience for a VP position, a senatorial or House representative, when we know all of them have shown some level of corruption. And granted that, Elizabeth Warren, not so much, but Bernie Sanders has been quite laissez-faire on certain issues, especially the fact that, he's talked about reparations being divisive. So I don't understand why you were so much brown-nosing him when he was a complete contradiction to your darn gone cause. But I digress. I feel that if, Tom Steyer would have darn gone bankroll Marion Williamson a little bit, that could have been the team right there. Or option 2, Andrew Yang and darn gone Marion Williamson would have teamed up. Honey, that could have been the dream team right there. I don't get it. I don't. But like I said, I went to Andrew Yang next. He dropped out. Tom Steyer, I went to the polls and actually voted for you. And then you didn't even give us the Super Tuesday. Your ass dropped out 9 o'clock at night. I went to vote for you 9 something in the morning, and I get the news and then this will really embarrass me. I made the video and I was in the midst of uploading the video. I recorded a video on that Friday about me going to the polls the next day. Next day happened. I went to the poll at 9 o'clock. Honey, in the midst of uploading the video, 8:49, I get a notification that Tom Steyer done dropped out. So now I got to edit my darn gone description in the midst of uploading the damn video. So by the time it went live with y'all on Sunday, because I uploaded it Saturday night, it was live Sunday morning, I'm darn gone looking dang on stupid. And then that's why I said, well, shit, I ain't even about to jump. I ain't about to be a fool for the 4th time. I know I jumped to Elizabeth Warren. Next thing I know, her ass might drop out. And sure enough, I'm glad I didn't jump on here talking about Elizabeth Warren, because her ass done dropped out. I said, God damn. Now we got an old Jewish white man who says reparations is divisive. And then we got an old white man who was pro-segregation. It don't look good for us as black folks. It really don't. And it's sad to say, but I'm sitting this one out. And when I say I'm sitting this one out, don't get at me in the inbox. I'm talking about I am tossing my presidential vote away. And I don't say that lightly. As somebody who understands, being from North Carolina, knowing how they rig the polls, try to close shit down early, make it hard for people to get to the DMV. DMV want to close early. Honey, it's very much similar to Florida in certain ways. Understanding all that. Understanding what our ancestors fought for our right to vote for our cause. See, people forget that. They did not just die and you get hosed and shit for us to vote. It was to vote for our cause, not just to be voting just to be voting. We supposed to still be voting with our interests in mind, not darn on a sole dedication to a party. That's why in the primaries I vote Democrat, but come general election I switch back over to independent, because if some Republicans talking some common sense, which is extremely rare because we see a lot of them for whatever reason, I don't know, Trump must got some darn on photos of shit of them in the Trump Towers doing some hanky panky. Honey, we seen that Grindr scandal happen years ago where the Republicans were at a convention. Honey, Grindr went down a couple hours, and it was because some of the senators were utilizing the websites. Honey, I think doggone when they was over there in the Trump Towers, I think Trump got some evidence on some of the senators and blackmail. Because I don't know how the Senate, with all the deplorable actions that he's done, this is beyond just Republican versus Democrat. It's just like, how in the hell do you still allow for somebody of his caliber to still be in office? Like I said, it got to be some blackmailing going on, honey. It just got to be. But neither here nor there, to get back on to the topic of presidents. I feel like I do not feel confident voting for anybody that's currently in this dang on race. And I can't just leave the thing blank, because in North Carolina, what they would do, and I seen this shit happen with certain machines, you leave that shit blank, honey, they'll try to fill that shit in for you. And I don't feel like going down to the town hall and trying to get that shit corrected, because I am that bitch that does check my voting to make sure to see everything is accurate after the fact. Because I know the last election cycle, anybody who was voting down, this is why another reason I don't vote straight Democrat. Honey, they was changing people's shit up straight Republican. You went down to your mamas and stuff, they go and vote straight Democrat. And then next thing you know, everything done changed to Republican. But notice that the Republicans, it ain't never switched over to Democrat. So you can't say that it was a pure accident, because I'm trying to figure out, well, how come when every time somebody vote down the ballot straight Republican, it wasn't switching? So it's like, if it was a switch error where it was confusing Democrat and Republicans, how come the Republican votes wasn't being switched to Democrat? How come it was only Democrat votes being switched to Republican? And you notice that issue, they ain't never got brought up on the mainstream. They kept that shit hush hush, and as far as nationwide. So I'll be filling in Marion Williamson's name, and I know it's a toss-away at this point because, you know, she done dropped out. But I'm putting a name up in there just so they won't be able to fill in no Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders. Hell, nobody with a motherfucking B in their title. Nobody with a B. Buttigieg, Bernie, Biden, they all can go. And Trump, all four of them can damn go. It ain't no difference from the extreme right to the extreme left to the moderate, from the white gay man to the old segregationist to the darn on Jewish man to the white darn on racist supporting man. What all four of these different white men got in common is that all of them basically have said fuck black people. So the commonality is you can be the youngest candidate running, Pete Buttigieg. And you could be the oldest candidate running, you know, Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. And Donald Trump not too far behind. And all of them still share the commonality of fuck black people in a sense. And for people who say, oh, this shit can darn gon' be bred out over time, the old races are getting older. Honey, we see from Pete Buttigieg, they just passed the shit down. Because Pete Buttigieg is the youngest candidate to ever run for president of the United States at the age of 37. Tulsi Gabbard being second at 38, 39 years old. And we see what's going on with Pete Buttigieg with 0% support in his hometown. Because he basically said he don't need black people for a vote. Then you got darn gone Bernie Sanders. He think just because he got darn gone Senator Nina Turner as a mouthpiece and Killer Mike and T.I., that, you know, we just supposed to go and big up his ass. But then when we hearing the term about reparations, he wanted to kick people out the darn on rallies. And nobody's being disrespectful to him. I can see if they was cussing him out or whatever. But you have a man who's being respectful of you. His tone is not belligerent. He's not argumentative with you. And because he brought up reparations, you kicked him out of your rallies. And then when this is addressed to people like Senator Nina Turner, they want to quickly change the subject and talk about what he did for us in 1962. And then when I asked what has he done for us lately since getting in the position of power, because they are, you notice how Senator Nina Turner sounds like a broken record with that darn 1962 rhetoric. But anytime we ask her what has he done when he's gotten in a position of power to actually implement shit, the only thing you can link his ass to is a damn crime bill, which was darn detrimental for us. Now, of course, I said the crime bill was initially, proposed with good intentions, but the moment that it went awry, you should have modified it. But is there any proposals? And maybe, Bernie Sanders fans, correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be wrong on this, and I hope I am. Is there some proposals that y'all can show me, some articles where Bernie Sanders actually tried to modify the crime bill? And if so, I would definitely give credit where credit's due. But as far as I know, Bernie Sanders did not even attempt really to modify the crime bill. I do believe it was Senator Maxine Waters who actually denied it from the very beginning. And was very vocal. So shout out to Auntie Maxine. But I don't recall hearing Senator Bernie Sanders ever trying to modify the shit. Like I said, I could be wrong, and if I am, put it down in the comment section. But coming from somebody who accepted reparation payments for transit, signed off for transient Jews to get reparations due to the atrocities that happened to their ancestors from another country, I'm trying to figure out if we as the United States can be archalistic to give millions of dollars towards descendants of people for atrocities that happened over 70 years ago. Why do y'all say that the atrocities that happened to black people is too much to ask when the latest atrocities that is massive on record happened 40 years after the Holocaust? The Holocaust happened in the 1940s, right? The crack cocaine epidemic was the 1980s. Police brutality is still to this day. Redlining is still continuing to this day. See, we got a lot of issues that affects our community that still happens to this day. The prison, the school to prison pipeline, the crack to cocaine powder disparities, the long sentences for marijuana, but now pharmaceutical industries and congressmen and everybody else but black people can now get in on marijuana, but the people who were victims of being put in jail for little marijuana are now blocked out of it. Can't get no loans because once again we still stereotyped because of our names, because of prior conventions and everything, and all of this. Where is those conversations on the Bernie Sanders campaign? I wait. Now I have heard him mention about expunging the records. I will give him that. But as far as, once again, the reparations, that is what's getting me. And once again, it's far beyond just a paycheck. It goes into addressing economic restitution. When I mention reparations, I'm talking about not only funding HBCUs, but charter schools that are ran by black people, not by the state, because charter schools are also ran by, you got government ran charter schools. I'm talking about black ran charter schools. I'm talking about black banks. I don't hear any of these candidates talking about actually funding black banks, so we don't even have to deal with the Wells Fargos. I don't hear any of these issues being addressed. I don't hear about, grants for beauticians and other skilled trades so we can become more self-sufficient, so we don't have to just depend on a jobs guarantee. That's what I hear out of Bernie Sanders, a federal jobs guarantee. Not all of us want jobs. Some of us actually want a self-sustaining career, so when a government shutdown happens, I don't have to worry about my darn check being tied up in limbo. So what about us that are actually out here with darn on skilled trades that we can't properly utilize because we can't get a grant for a business loan? But if I was to go out here and go back to school, honey, y'all give me $100,000 loan of credit with $0 to my motherfucking name. But y'all can't even give a girl a $10,000 business loan even if I present a good 40-page business plan. What sense does that make? That's why I said we, instead of darn trying to go back and forth with these crooked banks, which actually go back all the way to the slavery days of funding darn our slave masters and giving reparations to them for losing us as slaves, honey, you need to be giving some of money back to the black banks that were lost post-slavery. When we darn massed what was equivalent to trillions of dollars of wealth 10 years post-slavery, and that money was stolen from us. We need to talk about economic restitution in that regard. And when this is brought to Senator Nina Turner, she wants to add tone deaf. She wants to go around the Mayberry, and that's why I can't deal with her nor Bernie Sanders. I can't. That's why I will be writing in Marion Winston's name come darn on election day. But as far as anybody that's currently running, I don't feel comfortable supporting anybody on the ticket. So basically, in a nutshell, I will not be voting in a sense of not staying home, but I will not actively give my vote to whoever is the Democratic nominee. Hell, I give it to the Republican nominee if they can show a doggone decent. But hell, Bill Weld hasn't shown anything, substantial, or nor the other candidate that was running for against Donald Trump. So this is not just on the Democratic ticket. This is everybody that is running for president of the United States. But that's where I'm at right now. It's like it's sad to say, but it looks like I will not be voting for the Democratic nominee. And hell, the Republican incumbent, that's definitely a no under any circumstances, honey. Donald Trump has proven that it's nothing that he can darn propose why I would even take seriously. And before anybody jump in that comment section talking about that motherfucking 10-point plan, honey, he's been in office 3 years. He couldn't darn give us at least one or two of the plans passed to show that he was even at least bit sincere about that 10-point plan. You got a token Negro as Ben Carson up in there as the head of urban housing development, and we see him darn taking benefits left and right. Talking about you grew up on food stamps and you know how it is, the struggle, but then you want to stereotype people as lazy. I mean, that didn't make sense to me. It's like, but you grew up and had to depend on them, and you know that your mother was in the circumstances in which she needed them, but then you want to demonize people who are in the predicament where they can't necessarily find jobs, and it's not due for the lack of trying. It's like, bitch, you see, we done went to school, we done graduated, we got degrees, and we're being out. We can't get in. So then some of us go the entrepreneur route and come up with our own businesses, but then we're finding it hard to get doggone proper loans because the white-owned banks want to doggone be discriminatory. And then the black-owned banks don't have the substantial funding, which is once again why I include black-owned banks as far as reparations, so we can get economic perpetual restitution. Restitution should not be in the form of just a one check. We should create an infrastructure so we can sustain ourselves indefinitely, like our ancestors did. The reason why we did so much better 10 years after slavery compared to now is when we were segregated, we were forced to deal with each other and create our own communities. But now white supremacy and the intersectionists, we became gentrified, and we had intersectionists, no shade to Dr. Martin Luther King, but I feel that it's a double-edged sword once we united that, you know, the wealth sort of got taken out of our communities, because we'll give quicker to a white store with no questions asked than a black store. A black store, we want to always discount each other. That's another thing. When you go to a black owned salon, or you always looking for a perpetual discount, and you hold off going there until a discount is happening. But you never ask the white store to give you a discount. And it's like, when you permanently discount a black darn on store, you discount the overall wealth that we can have as a whole. Back then, you didn't discount us, because it was just nothing but us. So we always kept the money within our communities. Not to say that white folks couldn't come in here and there, because we had white people throughout history that's helped us. You know, shout out to the white abolitionists. Shout out to our non-racist white brothers and sisters that help, because that's another stigma that is never addressed. We always want to do this black and white, you know, fighting shit, and we never mention about the Native Americans that actually helped black people out during slavery. We never mention the white people that was there for us during slavery. We always talk about, oh, well, Cherokees owned slaves. Oh, white people was hanging people up in black people up in trees. But we don't talk about, once again, the opposite side of the spectrum. We don't talk about the Cherokee Rebellion, when Cherokees, you know, said fuck this shit, and you know, turned over all their slaves and started helping darn on slaves to freedom. Gave slaves immunity to go through their forests, you know, through Indian territory without fear of being harmed. And then any white person that was went through there was subject to be killed. We don't talk about those stories though, because it doesn't fit the darn on, you know, the dividing narrative. But, you know, once again, I might break that down in another day though. But like I said, the main thing is, I just don't feel comfortable voting for anybody at this point. All my darn gone candidates are gone. And like I said, until somebody addresses the topic of reparations, and like I said, it's more than just a cash payout. I'm not for just, write a check. I'm talking about, once again, creating economic restitution. Once again, developing our black-owned banks. Black grants. Shout out to President Barack Obama. Now, you could have did a lot more for black people, but at least shout out for you to getting the Black Farmers Grant together prior to your ass getting gone. That's basically the only thing that you did for black people. It's like, really, with your popularity, you could have got the shit, you know, started more during the time that you did, but at least I give you that. But it's like, we need to still emphasize more on that as well, of what Obama did start on. That's the only thing I can really think that he did for black Americans. What else? Insurance. I don't understand when they talk about we should have insurance. It's like, that's something that's just across the board. Student loan debt is, you know, across the board. I don't think that should be exclusive to black people. I don't know where Antonio and Yvette Carnell is getting off on that one. But I'm definitely here for, you know, funding our black-owned banks, our black charter schools, you know, the HBCUs as well. In addition to the cash reparations, in which I break it down in my reparations plan, which will be down below. But yeah, that's why I am not voting for an active, you know, candidate that's running in the 2020 election. Like I said, as far as from what I'm seeing right now, nobody can't convince me otherwise. Elizabeth Warren would have been the last resort choice, and she's gone. So, like I said, the way Bernie Sanders is moving, I don't see why I would vote for him. Because you thinking that just because you are less evil than Donald Trump, honey, it's like, it's two extremes. It's like, okay, deal with the alt-right of Donald Trump, or deal with the because let me get on Bernie Sanders darn on fans. Y'all asses ain't no better. I see so many Bernie Sanders supporters out in these streets threatening. I mean, not literally out in the streets, but on Twitter fingers, because y'all motherfuckers really get quite quiet when it comes to face-to-face encounters with a sister, honey. But y'all motherfuckers, as far as virtual, y'all get just as ruthless as the Donald Trump supporters. I really don't see too much of a difference. Y'all might not be using the term niggas and shit, but a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters are white complacent. And I think I mentioned about white complacency a couple times on my channel, about just because you're not calling me the N-word, just because you're not trying to, roll back civil rights laws and shit. If you're not trying to progress us necessarily forward, in the irony, y'all supposed to be called progressives, but when it comes to black people, y'all want to keep us in 1970 from what I see of the Democratic campaign. The Republicans want to bring us back to 1864. Democrats want to keep us in 1970, and it's 2020. Because when I hear about progressing people forward, even on the Young Turks, it's like I don't really hear too much darn on about black people like that. Not even after the token black people that y'all, it is like y'all just got JR up on the seat after I darn gonna mention. Y'all notice that shit? I wish I could find a video where I call out the Young Turks about the only black person they had on there was a person that always sat in the damn side seat. They didn't even allow him to even be on the main presenting stage for the longest. And once I mentioned that, all of a sudden they got him on there, and then they brought in another black woman out the blue. So now you got the black woman, and then you got the black man. Okay. And then brought in doggone Miss Perez as well. And so you got all your bases covered. But doggone the Young Turks, same thing. Just complacent. Very complacent, because once again, they can't tell you not one doggone decent thing that Bernie Sanders is doing for the progression of black people specifically. Tom Steyer had a whole policy plan that was dedicated to black Americans. And I don't know why it's deemed where if you address black people's issues, that automatically we asking for too much. Every other candidate had a plan over there for indigenous people that represent 2% of the population, but that does not make them no less relevant because they represent 2% of the population. So I'm trying to figure out, why can't you have a plan for 14% of the population? Y'all like to say we so minuscule and stuff, but y'all had a plan. Every last person running for Democrat had a doggone indigenous policy on their doggone platform. I don't know about Biden, but Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, all of y'all had, Tom Steyer, all y'all had indigenous Indian policies. But then when it comes to black policies, I can count on my hand the candidates that had a black agenda. Tom Steyer, Marion Williamson, who else? Kamala, and I say Kamala loosely, honey, with her Asian ass. But Kamala, last minute though. But I give y'all, she had a hell of a plan for that darn on, the pipes and stuff. $100 billion towards fixing the pipes, and then addressing mortality rates with black women. I will give her that. Who else? Elizabeth Warren, she tried, but then it's like she kept darn interjecting so many sideline shit with her black agenda. It was like, no. Bernie Sanders, same thing. That's 5 people out of 20 candidates running. Cory Booker, baby bonds, really? Really? $1,000. That shit might sound like it's a lot of money. I mean, granted, $18,000 though. I'd rather get approved for a loan instead. I'd rather be judged fairly at the bank. That's what I'd rather have. I rather where we can, start funding our black real estate agents so we can darn on create our own realtor, go through our own real estate agencies and have our own plots of lands and stuff. That's what I'd rather have. I'd rather we have some land allotments like our indigenous Native American Indians. That's what I'd rather have. But you want to do, baby bonds for everybody that's under the age of 8. Hell, what about that doesn't do anything for all the people that's voting. Everybody that's voting is over the age of 18. So, yeah, that's good for our children and shit. But what about us? So, not only is you trying to cater to a market that's young, but it's like that still don't address about doggone economic restitution. The only thing close to black issues that I seen the doggone Cory Booker was doggone addressing the crack to cocaine powder disparities. And along with some of that criminal justice reform that Jay-Z proposed to Kamala Harris and doggone Cory Booker. But outside of that, he really didn't do much. So, like I said, it's just been a shit show all the way around. It was only 3 candidates that really strongly pushed something towards blackness. And that was Marion Williamson, Tom Steyer, and I also give Andrew Yang for universal basic income because he did mention that it would be $2,000 a month for people in impoverished areas, which include, low income struggling black communities. So, and then I mentioned how, universal basic income would actually be economically, as far as the upfront cash, that would have been more than actual reparations as far as, the actual dollar amount. So, of course, thinking strategically for our advantage, universal basic income is where it's at. Now, morally, and once again, excuse me, y'all, with these notifications, but morally, you still owe us a debt for our atrocities that we suffer as black people, from the still allowing slavery to continue and incentivizing the prison industry to conduct slavery in the form of prison labor, and then making money off of us twice from the labor that black people do inside jail, and then also profiting off the New York City Stock Exchange. Once again, shout out for Elizabeth Warren. I will give her this, that she did she was among the first to propose taking the prisons off of the New York City Stock Exchange, so I will give her that. But once again, I still haven't heard about a reparations plan. I only heard Tom Steyer and Marion Williamson talking about actually having a sit down with black people. Andrew Yang, once again, was the universal basic income, and he was a very him and Marion Williamson was close in support with each other, so it stood the reason that maybe Marion Williamson could have slid into an Andrew Yang campaign, and then there would have been some hope for, reparations to also being brought up in an Andrew Yang campaign, especially since they had their interview and he did agree to that reparations is owed. I just wish he could have incorporated it more in his platform. But I seen that there was at least some hope with him. And then economically speaking, with universal basic income, I could have still got with him based off of that. But once again, that didn't work. And then Tom Steyer, his ass got gone as well. And of course, y'all know this fan. 40 degrees this morning, 70 degrees in the afternoon. So 40 minutes into the video, I always get stuffy. So I'm going to end it right here. But y'all leave y'all thoughts down below. Like I said, it don't look good. It look like we might be dealing with Donald Trump for 4 more years with the shit that the Democrats are proposing. Because like I said, I damn sure ain't voting for nobody that's running. I just put in hell, I ought to be darn on cynical and just put Mickey Mouse down in the darn on, no, I would put a black superhero. Who should I put? Should I put Storm for president? Honey, X-Man Storm for president. T'Challa, no. T'Challa, you from Africa, you disqualified. But I did want to at least put somebody's actual name in there so they won't toss the vote out. So I will put Marion Williamson's name up in there. But it's like, Yeah, that's what I'd be doing. As far as voting for somebody actively running, no. I'll be putting Marion Williamson's name, but I was 2 seconds from putting a cartoon character up in there just to show y'all how over the elections that I am. Now everything else I'm still taking seriously. Like I said, my Secretary of State, we also have a governor running, lieutenant governor. I'm hoping that he gets that. I think his name is Allen. Is it Tim? Is it Allen? Dang, let me see who. Let me Google search him real quick. Who's running for lieutenant governor in North Carolina?
2020 North Carolina lieutenant gubernatorial election will be on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020.
That is not what I asked you. Y'all heard me say who's running for lieutenant governor, right? And it didn't give me no names. But it's a black man, and no, I'm not voting for him just because he's black and handsome. He actually has some decent policies, and it's a shame I don't know. But I knew his name going to the polls. I got to look more into him, but yeah, I'm definitely looking for him to be the lieutenant governor. Warren Cooper, yeah, we'll tolerate you for 4 more years from now, but you got to step your game up as well. Because I don't know why. Oh, here he is. Ooh, good piece of chocolate, honey. And once again, I don't vote based off of looks. Don't y'all judge a girl. Why is my phone doing this? I can't wait till I replace this cheap phone. But guess what? Straight Talk is sold out of the Galaxy. This is a Galaxy S4, right? Long overdue. I can't even get past Android 4.0 on this phone. And I've been wanting to upgrade my phone from the longest. And I finally come to the conclusion that I wanted the Galaxy A50. Oh, there he is right there. It doesn't say his name in the images. And I try to click on the, when I try to click on it, it just gives me this blank screen. So, unfortunately, I don't know his name just yet. And that's the only image of him in Google Images. Okay, let me click on it again. This is what I'm getting. Okay, look like it's going up. It still don't show his name. That is crazy. Okay, Alan Thomas, that's his name. It showed it in a list of names. I don't know why it didn't show it underneath his picture though. That's crazy. But yeah, Alan Thomas looks promising. And then of course we got our, district houses and all of that we're voting for. Do I still got my things that I can show y'all? Now I don't know if she won or not, and I got to check but I did vote for Kimberly Hardy for our North Carolina House seat. I compared her stats up against Dargon Olivero. No shade to my Hispanic community. I thought he was a black man at first, but I seen that video. He was a Hispanic, and once again, a fairly decent one. He ain't among the bigoted ones, but I felt that her policies were overall better, so I voted for her over, because he's the current judge, and I think she won in the end. But I Google search and give y'all an update. But yeah, as far as the fall elections, definitely will be voting for my Senate's House and all of that. But president, no. Like I said, until they are willing to have the discussion about reparations in detail, I will not be voting for anybody actively running. So y'all leave y'all thoughts down below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see y'all soon with more videos. Huh?